Food, clothing, shelter, those are all basic human needs. If that's the case, then what's happening here in Lenasia is a violation of human rights. Talk SA is in Lenasia to speak to the residents about their experience.
Ha ho ya sa tshoswang ke ditshwantsho tse bontshitsweng. Talk SA ile mane Lenasia ho tla utlwa hantle hore ba lahlehetsweng ba ikutlwa jwang ka tsatsi leo le fetileng.
It's something that used to happen back in the day during apartheid. Do you think it's got a place in new South Africa, democratic South Africa?
Never, never. This is what we fought for. This is what we fought for, a democratic South Africa. This goes against all our beliefs, morals, principles. We fought for this. We fought for a new democratic South Africa. And now it just takes us way back to when there was apartheid. We're not free. You've taken away our rights.
Ayikho right yenzeke yabona but singathini in a way yeah we see that apartheid yabona but no so it's part of life yabona into zesizoyenze but uthi lesigwebo sakhe asingelanga kufanele kumamningi ngoba abantu abaningi baluzile yabona yeah
mama adialoga ka hore di senyetsa batho ba bangata ba utlwa hore le nna maybe ngana ka ya mo ke fite ke reke pleke ke dule mo ke fiwe pleke nna ke dule mo ke rekile nna gape a go fetsa go reka ntlo ke fetsa go thola pleke ke rekile ntlo ke agile ke ya tsama ke ya Standard Bank ke ilo ka di machelete hore kae ke a aga moroho mo batho ba tla ntlo ya dilizi ena ke bolelwe next.
It's totally wrong the way it was done. I mean, even if it was sold wrong, the person spent their money. I mean, some of them spent their whole life savings on it, so it's just not on.
Lento ayenzile ngokuthi abhidliza izindlu zabantu kungakabi nama notice yona ibe wrong kakhulu ngoba abanye abantu manje seba homeless.
Tell me, when you first heard about the forced removal situation in Lenasia, what did you think? What was your first thought?
I was very disappointed, very angry. Our people don't deserve to be treated like that. It's for us. It's for our people.
Iqinisweni akusena umuntu engizamthemba na uhulumeni kanje angimthembi. Besinto wrong nje umuntu ucabanga seka spend imali yakhe kusuka lapho sebazobhidliza imizi yabo kanjalo.
Because abanye abantu nekwimali yabo yokugcina ukuthi bakhe lo muzi lo and then manje uthola ukuthi manje akasena yenye imali nekathembele lapho itrust yakhe yonke iphelele lapho.
Bone batho ba sebetsa mo ke ntwe ba itsebang le bona a kra ke rekile ntho e singa molao ha ke ya molo ke lo ke batla metsi ke batla electric ke mmamba o kenya ntwe tseo ke bona ke go tloga go di office jwala ba fitla kwa ba ilong kenyetsa ntwe tseo after morawa mo ntho ya tla itlo go budulisa ba tlamile bone ba njwetsa ke fitla mo le office ke tlo ba ke applyela metsi o ke applyela electric ba njwetsa gore pleke e ngwe le mo yone a se pleke e lokileng.
Njoba ngize la ngathola indawo abantwini yabo abanginceda ukuthi ngizohlala so kwakhiwa kwacedwa kumangale nje last year nge8 it was 8 November makufika amaphoyisa nama bulldozer amabarret nama bulldozer.
And I was trying to ngalendlu ukuthi bekunama camera mangaki liphi ikhishi lakho nje lana bathroom akusikhombise ukuthi umuzi wakho ubume kanjani usichazele nje.
Njengoba kanje nali ikhishi la. Le laundry, ikamera, ibathroom, ikamera. Bese kuba ile camera leli elami la bengihlala khona line bathroom yalo. Bese kuba i-sitting room ne dining room, i-garage. It was 11 room.
Bake bantshela nje mhlawumbe ngaphambilini kwake kwaba nje ne warning nyana something ngaphambilini uthi nazi ukuthi hayi ngathi kuzoshuba.
Cha akuzange kube ne warning. Mina ngizange ngibone warning. Ukube bekune warning mhlambe ngabe neimpahla zami azange zimoshakalele phakathi. Bengizosuka.
Abanikezanga nesikhathi ukuthi nithathe izinto.
Cha azange basinike isikhathi impela ngoba ngathi mangilonga izikhipha bacalile bese bafaka icaterpillar kulendle ngapha. Ekababa. Ngabacalile bafaka icaterpillar kulendle ngapha bekuneimpahla. Yabona njengoba le room lela lamabonda angawanga la. Khombisa ukuthi kwakuneimpahla ngaphakathi so basilinda ukuthi babazabuye and then njengoba zisele kanje azange baphinde babuye bazodiliza. Bayeka nje kunjalo and then babakhipha impahla zambise Soweto ezinye. Mina la ngacela ukuzibeka ngapha njengoba nengithola ngila next door emkhukhwini. Ngacela ngihlalisana nomunye ubhodi. Kisofatsaka uzuzubona sheba. Ya sheka ba di otlile ka ntshotse ka tsona ditina tse a ba galmela batho ba ro. Why ba etsa so? Ba re tswa ma ke veneng ke lo ngwadisa finisher yaka. O shuri ne ba sa ncenye hore wa senyelo ra o senyelwi. O shura itse ko bona e batle bona. Nkare ne ba tsubile di drugs te bene ke bona ka ting batho. Because motho normal never etsa ntho. Ko ntho motho a tseba gore rekile sheba finisher yake fedile jo. Wa bo sheba ke metsi ke pula. Isinyile. TV akusabuwa nekule TV ekhulu isinyile. Plasma nekolboteng isinyile. Fridge ya ba inkile same day very same day. Baba because ne ritoitoya ukila bana wa toitoya. Baba ngba busy mo ba utswa ke tshoko ba kujo sekere batho ba mekukhu. Na ba tloetsa ntho tseo.
Ha thoke se e khutla re bua le ditsebi tse re bontshang hore tsela e nepahetseng ya ho reka naha ke efeng. Hape setjhetjheng re le tshwaretse bo ausi ba batle ba le utlwelang lona ba Lenasia.
The thing that we've got to do is to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
There are certain things we should never have to see. Things that belong in our ugly history. Things that don't have a place in our new democracy. Last year, South Africans watched with shock as the Department of Housing in Gauteng demolished over 100 homes in Lenasia, south of Johannesburg. As Toke say, we've come to Lenasia to find out how the Lenasians are dealing with this horror. How are they picking up the pieces?
Pale ya Sipho e bohloko mme sena se re bontsha hore ha o sa tsebe ditaba tsa hao ha hona moo o tla fellang teng. Ditaba tsena di mahlakore mabedi ha re di beheng hantle.
Hayi ngimidile halfway ukuthi hayi sengiminusile azukuminisa leyo poverty nyana azukwakha indlu istructure njengoba ngisakhile thatha umndeni wami uzohlala nawo la minus one problem yani kuye ukuthi hayi loyana kumele ngabe ngimakhela indlu ane ngisamakhela indlu ngoba sekanayo indlu ngithi mara yena akenzanga lokho unothenze lokho uza nani necaterpillar namaphoyisa amaphoyisa yokumele abazivikela yiwo angikhiphe ngebhamu phakathi nefinish bangishaya bathi ngikhiphe finish kwaphuma nemoto kwakunemoto la iseSoweto phuma izinto eziningi la kulendlu.
It was very unfortunate what happened in Lenasia with the people that are fortunately purchasing property. They thought they bought the property, but obviously didn't understand the processes of owning a title deed that knows that the property is registered. And without that document, it is impossible to own a property.
Basically, there's three ways in which one can acquire land legally. It will be through donation, through exchange transfers, or through an agreement of sale. So if you just walk there with somebody who claims to be an official from elsewhere, then says, give me 2,500, this land is yours. You don't sign anything, you hand over the money, then you leave. The property is not yours. The property will remain belonging to whoever it belonged to before you pay the 2,500 rands. Only that you are 2,500 poorer, but then nothing has changed as far as you're concerned. Even if you can come and maybe erect a structure on that particular piece of land, the rightful owner will now have a right to can get a court order to say, I want this person to be removed here because you are not the owner.
Many of these houses has electricity. Many of them has water. How did they get it? If you didn't have a title deed, how would you get it? And the water and electricity is registered to their names. So how did they get it? So according to those people and to my knowledge, I feel if I've paid for electricity and water, then obviously the land is legal.
If it's only a vacant piece of land, you erect a building there, he will approach the court to say, I am the rightful owner of this piece of land. Now this person has came and did improvements on that land, now has got no right to do that. So the court will give an eviction order against you, then you will be thrown out, then it will be a loss on your side.
Motho e mong le e mong o lakatsa ho fumana ntlo ya ditoro tsa hae, empa ho nka nako. Ela hloko hona jwale ho se kopane le mathata a tshwanang le ao.
Ngasho ukuthi nje kwamanje ngi-breadwinner ekhaya yimi ababheke mina kakhulu ukuthi kumele ngibancede. Manje ngizobanceda kanjani makuso? Kumele wena futhi uphinde futhi wena kulo government wethu lesimvote wena futhi uphinde usiphakamise nakanandaba. Mara mongathi yabheka bonke labantu esibavotelayo banabantwana, banama-families, bana yonke into bayadla basuthi. What about thina abasimoshela? Mina abantwana kunini kumanje ngibona ngihlile angazi nokuthi bakuphi. Jele.
I think firstly it's important that residents are aware of the fact that if they purchase land, they have to do so legally. And they have to make sure that when they are purchasing land from various individuals, that the deeds process involved in the purchasing of land is fully complied with. The Human Rights Commission does not in any way endorse any illegal occupation or purchasing of land. And so any deal that's too good to be true is usually too good to be true. And people need to be aware of that. I understand, of course, many people may not have the requisite levels of education or understanding about how to purchase land, and may therefore have been duped into purchasing this land. So we are cognizant of this on the one hand, but on the other, we'll also call upon residents in Lenasia and in South Africa generally to ensure that when they do purchase land, they follow the correct legal process related to that.
The thing that we've got to do is to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So the thing to ensure that it don't happen is obviously focusing on how you obtain the correct information before you purchase a property. I think it begins with the research, where you go and find out what you want to buy and go and see the property that you want to purchase. When you're there with a estate agent or is a private person selling the property, is number one to identify the owner of the property. And this can easily be done by obtaining information from your attorney to confirm this via a deed document or a title deed that's available, or even you can go over on a website if you want to do it yourself, internet facilities. There is various websites where you can find deeds document directly from the deeds office. The second thing that's very important is never pay a deposit directly to the owner or the estate agent. I think the fairly thing that you've got to realize is that the attorney firm that is appointed for the transfer must be appointed in terms of where the deposit must be paid. That's also a secure way in terms of the agreement to ensure that no fraud will take place with that transaction. Then it comes to the contractual part of it. If you don't have a proper agreement that is supported by your attorney, then it is not legal binding, because a legal binding agreement's got to be registered at a deeds office. And with the deeds office registration, you can have a confirmation that a property is yours. But always remember, it's your responsibility to look at the paperwork that is correct, there is no fraudulent information that's provided, and then do your homework and ensure before you sign any agreement that the support with your attorney that the deal will go through without any issues.
Ha Thokese e khutla, ke nako ya tee le mantswe ya bao ba hlahelletseng setjhabeng.
Welcome back to the High Tea segment of Talk SA. One of our pillars of democracy is the freedom of speech. So in the kitchen today, to help us unpack the issue of the forced removals in Lenasia, we have got a singer, Lungi Naidu. Welcome to the show, Lungi.
Thank you.
As well as Naledi Muleo, who does a youth show in SAFM. Welcome, Naledi.
Thank you for joining. Well, I'm glad I'm here.
We're glad too. And we've also got Noe, who is a singer-songwriter. Welcome, Noe.
Thank you for having me.
So guys, tell me, when you first heard about this issue of the forced removals in Lenasia, what was your initial reaction, Lungi?
I was shocked. You know, we live in a country in 2012, and to turn the TV on and see something like this, you really go into a, really? Is this happening really in South Africa? You know what I mean? So I was totally beside myself. I was shocked, and I felt so sad for what was happening to the people of Lenasia. Yeah.
And I mean, Lungi's touching on, like, really, did this really happen in South Africa? What are your thoughts on that in terms of the fact that we are a democratic nation?
Yeah, and not only are we a democratic nation that has one of the best constitutions in the world, but this is also a country where people generally don't have housing. It's a really big shortage in this country. And then you go and demolish the houses of those that are trying to build something for themselves. I don't understand that. Yeah.
I was just wondering if they were given alternative housing. If you demolish my house, where do you expect me to go? I was wondering if they were giving them notice, probably. They're giving them notice to move and they didn't move. Because there has been cases where shacks in formal settlement were being demolished, but these are actually houses that were built. So I was actually wondering where are the people going to go? Sympathy.
Another thing as well, you know, like you're saying, these are houses that were built. Yes. So when you are building a house, there is a process. You know, you need to get the title deeds. You need to apply for water, apply for electricity, all those things. So in terms of those processes, you're interacting with government organizations. Yeah. What was the process then? You know, what was happening? That was the question going on in my mind.
I think what boggled my mind even more is that the way that this happened is that these people bought plots within Lenasia and pieces of land, thinking that they were buying them from the Department of Housing themselves, thinking that they were buying them from government. And they bought these plots from like 2,500 rand. That's a tiny amount of money. And the fault then shouldn't be their fault. It should be the department's fault. If someone can just come and say, hey, I'm from the Department of Housing, can I sell you a house? And people buy it, then the fault isn't who bought it. It's the fact that you don't, as the Department of Housing, you don't secure your things enough to make sure that people don't take advantage of other people like that, if you know what I mean, yeah.
And when you do make a mistake like that as a department, in order to rectify it, is it not then your right to, because they could argue that it is our right to then fix this, you know? This is our way of fixing it. We are fixing the problem. Is that not your right to then do so and demolish if you must?
I think the mere fact that we're using the word demolish, we should not be using such words in the new South Africa, you know what I mean? It feels like instead of us moving forward, we're actually moving back. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it was black people or Indians or white people that were their houses were being demolished. Horrible word. You know, at the end of the day, there was a scam that took place. People were scammed into believing that they were buying property and buying land and they were building their homes. Like you're saying, it's a process. You pay money, and these are not wealthy people. You know, these are ordinary South Africans like you and myself trying to make ends meet. And then to show up in a bulldozer and run over my home. Whether you gave me a warning or didn't give me a warning, but there should have been and there must have been a better way to do this. You know what I mean? Like she had said, as Kulume stole another solution. You can't shop with a bulldozer and bulldoze somebody's home. You know, and then say, I'm trying to teach people a lesson that if you know.
People also need to be educated. When you have to buy a house, there's other procedures that you have to go through. I mean, if it's dodgy, if the house next to it is way worth more than that, if a stand next to it is worth more than that, and you are buying a stand for 2.5. I mean, obviously that raises eyebrows. I think, people need to be more educated up in that department as
but
well.
On that
And
point, like she was saying, not to interrupt you, on that point, she was saying, the problem is people don't have homes. We have such a big problem in South Africa that even the RDP houses, because at some point they had said that they were going to build government RDP houses.
Yeah, that's what that piece of land was for.
So if people are already living there, then why didn't they work out a situation where the government made them pay for, instead of bulldozing the houses? So if they remove those houses where they're going to build new RDP houses for the people, or where they're gonna, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so tell me, if you were to give just a quick solution as to how they should have handled the situation, what would you say, No?
Well, provide alternative housing. If I'm not supposed to be here, where must I go?
Then find something else for somebody to go.
Totally. Because these people paid for the houses. They bought the houses.
Absolutely.
So who's going to refund me my money that I paid?
Exactly. There's never enough time to talk about these issues. So please, let's carry on with the dialogue. Join us on our Facebook page, Talk SA. And of course, we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Se lebale ho kopana le rona Facebookong kapa re romelle maikutlo a lona ho 33120.